name is Dennis Jackson. I'm a State Farm agent, born and raised here in Chester, PA, last of 13 children. I'm born to Essie and Lucius Jackson. Sharecroppers in Georgia. Came to Chester with a 6th or 7th grade education and decided that brains would be our way to success. We came up through the same thing that everybody else did, and as she said, it's about choices. And so we choose to invest in our own brain and our own spirit and what the Lord has given us, because there's no value you can place on a gift. It's already in you. You just have to activate it and make it happen. But you do need somebody nurturing you, guiding you, giving you discipline. We often laugh about the belts and the extension cords and boots and whatever else. But as we got older, we realized it was for the right reason. That we love the Lord first, and that all other things would be added to our lives. And so, if we don't work on the inside, everything we do is external. Even the cologne I have on, the lotion, it makes me feel good, makes me smell good, but what's going on the inside? Right. So we got to activate that which is in our young people to make them blossom, because they haven't been in tune to it. You see, the schools won't allow it. They say don't pray, don't discuss your inner person. But in reality, those are the keys. Those are the keys to the kingdom. It's inside. So before I even embarked on becoming a State Farm agent, there was a long road. I'm a graduate of Chester High School, class of 1979. Went on to Mansfield University and obtained a business degree in business administration, and then went to Philadelphia Textile, which is now Philadelphia University, and obtained a master's in science and taxation. Worked for State Farm 20 years. And so a lot of times it's our diligence that allows us to get to the next step. Because while you're working hard, somebody is behind the scenes, whispering in someone's ear, saying, hey, Dennis is a guy you can trust. Cheryl is a guy, a person you can trust. But you don't know that. But it's because of your character that people see first before you even come. Just as it is as your spirit enters the room before you come in the room, to find out in the secret-like spirits that you might join with, like we are today. So often when my friends see me, I was a basketball player at Chester High. We all had aspirations to go to the NBA and get our parents out of Chester. That was most everybody's dream. But you got to have more than that. That's just one component of your life. Your physical attributes, then you have your spiritual and your emotional. And we have to work on all those pillars to make a foundation, just like they do with a building. They put the foundation first, and then they structure the building, then they put the roof and the siding. Well, we're the same way as human beings. Who's there to put the structure in us? We just deal with the external, especially for young men. Everything is physical prowess. How many points can I score? How many girls can I get? But nobody touches them on the inside. And so they end up incarcerated, lost. So persons like myself are really ostracized because I'm the difference. You say, but because God is strong, I'm strong. I'm not going to let people turn me around. So brothers like Corey and John who see the light. And we all got our own place. I'm in Philadelphia. That's where my office is for the last 13 years. But I'm still a Chester resident. So each morning that I get in my car and drive up on the 95, but then I come back home and I see the despair and destruction. Then I ask the Lord, well, what more can I do? Well, just give an example. So, the papers that I passed out, I'm just going to piggyback off of what the first speaker had, but 4 things that Corey asked me about. First, also, I'd like to give honor to the pastor of this great church. My brother, Corey Jackson, is a trustee here, and I've been worshiping with Asbury many, many years. On youth days and usher days, being an MC. The first thing is entrepreneurship. And the definition is a process of identifying and starting a business venture, sourcing and organizing the required resources, and taking both the risk and rewards associated with the venture. As an entrepreneur, you can get there in a number of ways. You can create your own idea straight from the dust. Or you can piggyback on an idea that's already successful and not reinvent the wheel. So for myself, who's been a State Farm employee for 20 years. I started out in the claims department. I worked 6 years in claims. Then I supervised accounting for a couple of years for the state. And then I became an agent. But first I had to earn the trust of the company. It's just like you taking your baby to the babysitter. You're not just going to take them to anybody. You got to be willing to trust them with that product. So over those years, one thing I like to emphasize to young people is get your credentials. That's number one to get you through the door. Yes, you will have those moments where someone will tap you on the shoulder on God's favor and call you in. But as Corey mentioned about the number of people that go in the NBA, it's a similar number for people who get a grand opportunity like that. Most of the time, we don't want to be subcontractors or work under somebody first to learn those things, to gain their trust, to gain their understanding, to gain their expertise before they will give us that. So when people see me now, and they see my billboard, and they see my name on top of my building, that's just a part of the business. That doesn't do anything for me. The elbow grease and the hard work, you still have to do. But that will often come up against other people because they decided to let their dreams die. They want your dream to die. So as soon as you start telling them, but I always tell people, be like Nike, just do it. Don't tell anybody anything. Because the naysayers and doubters are going to crowd you, and then they're going to talk you out of your dream. So if you have a plan, you just have to obtain it. The third thing he told me to talk about was goals. Goals are desired result a person or system envisions, plans, commits to achieve a personal or organizational desired endpoint. So we all have goals. But we can't keep them in our head. We have to write them down so we can take inventory just like a store. Every season, the store takes inventory to see what they need to stock the shelves with, to see what's selling and what's not selling, to replenish or get rid of, and may become obsolete. We have to do the same thing with our goals. Sometimes they may become obsolete because technology has changed. I was listening to CNN this morning, and they're taking incarcerated men and letting them work in Silicon Valley. And they asked the one guy, when you got incarcerated 25 years ago, what was going on at the time? He said they had the flip phone by Motorola. So now they're working with them and allowing them to work in Silicon Valley with the IT companies to build things. Because their dreams didn't die while they were in prison. They put it to use. And then the fourth thing before I get to the sheets on leadership, a process of social influence in which one person can enlist the aid and support of others in the accomplishment. Because we can't do it alone. No man is an island. You need help. Christ had the disciples. Moses had the elders. So we all recognize that we can't do this alone. And it doesn't necessarily mean that that person has to agree with you 100% of the time, because you don't need a person like that. You need someone who is a cheerleader. You definitely need that rah-rah person. But you also need someone who will tell you the truth.
That's right.
If you may be going down the wrong road. And they've experienced it. So don't despise the humble beginnings. Just because I have all the degrees, if I hire somebody, I have to take their knowledge at face value. I can't say your knowledge or your words are less important than mine because you didn't go to school. Now again, I don't want them to get paralyzed, and I don't want them to have a false sense of their knowledge, because there are some things that God has to separate us from other people. That's why the disciples were who they were. They were willing to follow a person. So you don't get discouraged about letting people make you think you're the same as them. It's not being arrogant. It's a reality that God has touched your life with a special gift. With a special gift that he didn't give to another man. Now the other man may have a unique gift also, but it's not the gift that you have. Now we may have similar gifts, but then we have to operate differently in them. I'm an outspoken guy, trying to get crumbs on the table being the last of 13, you got to speak up. So most of my brothers, I had the advantage, okay? Because the first few started out working at Sunship and in different places, and then my next three were drafted in the military in Vietnam. In '68, my first brother went to college. And he's a doctor of education at Penn State. The next brother, Antonio, was a lawyer in Virginia. So before I even was able to really stumble, they were already setting an example for me. And then you had mom and pop in a stable environment, keeping things going. So passed out because one of the things that we often don't do as business, as people embarking on business, is we don't write down our dreams or our goals. And there's no way to keep track of whether we're succeeding or failing because it's almost being scared to look at your bank statement. You know you spent too much money, but you don't want to look at it. But you have to look at it so you won't bounce that check, right? So you have to keep inventory of what you're doing. So what I gave you was a goal planner of things that if you don't do anything else as a business owner, you have to have a goal plan. And you can look back 5 years from now at your goals and see if you reached them. And you can decide when you want to take inventory, whether you're going to do it weekly, monthly, quarterly, semi-annually, or annually. But the big thing that we can start to stretch out on is on the second page. It's called SMART goals. It's an acronym. SMART. Now, before you work on your goal plan, this goal planner is going to have you to do the benefits, what's in it for me, what's your burning desire, and then the obstacles that you face, the past and potential ones coming up, and then the solutions for each obstacle. Then your action steps from your solutions list and by when. You have to set a time date or you're not going to look at it. And then a tracking system, whether you put a chart on the wall, you have a book, you put it on your computer or a spreadsheet, or you have meetings with your team. And then a reward plan. You always have to either reward yourself or reward the people working for you to keep them motivated and to keep you motivated. And then the last thing I added was an elevator pitch. When you ask the people to come up and tell about their business. That's one thing that they talk about in the business arena as your elevator pitch. And basically, if you're on an elevator, you have about 30 seconds from each floor to tell somebody you may see. It might be the board, the executive director on the 20th floor, and this is your only time to see him in the morning. So always have your elevator pitch ready. Whether you wake up 3 in the morning or 10 o'clock in the morning, if somebody asks you what you can generate some interest by your elevator pitch. And so if you turn to the page, this is the last thing I'm going to go over, is the SMART goals. And you may have heard this before, and you may have seen it before, and some people haven't. But this is the way to make you, as they say, think out of the box. A lot of times we'll have an idea, and we'll tell somebody, and that's where it ends. We won't really put it down. I mean, those of you who cook on Thanksgiving, you have a special technique as how you make the macaroni and cheese, that stuffing, right? You don't just throw stuff together, get a box and start dumping. But after a while, you don't have to look at the recipe anymore because you know it cold. You've been doing it so long. But those of us who don't know it cold have to write these things down. And what it does, it gives you credibility. Because if I went to Corey and I told him about my business plan, and he said, well, let me see it. And I showed him all the things that I had worked on and written down. You know what, that's something I can support. But if I just came to him and said, Corey, I have this idea, I want to start a party at the skating rink, but what age bracket are you addressing? How much are you going to charge? Where are you going to get the money to get the fees and everything? So we'll go over the SMART goals and then I'll close. The first one in the acronym SMART is specific. A goal has to be specific. Identifying whose goal is it? What is it you want to accomplish and how you will accomplish it? When will you begin it and when will you achieve it? And where will you work towards achieving it? Will it be at home? Will it be in an office? What will be your space? And then it has to be measurable. I think this is the biggest thing that hinders a lot of businesses, that we don't measure. We don't count the cost. It's like Nehemiah before he left to build the city. He had to count the cost. What did I need? How much wood do we need to build this wall? We have to be the same way. We have to count the cost first. Don't just jump into it because you can lose a lot of money. If you're an entrepreneur, you have to take the risk and go with it. If you lose your money, you lost it. You can't cry to your mother, to your brother, to your friends. It's your idea and you have to own it. And then, is it attainable? Is your goal an attainable goal? By attainable, we mean, is it a humanly possible thing to do? Some people wish they could fly without an additional apparatus. And they can once. And you only do that once without the proper apparatus. So think of it as an attainable. What's your market? We're in Chester. If you're like, I know for me, as a State Farm agent, a lot of our products aren't designed for the inner city. I know that as an agent. So I had to make a paradigm shift. If I want to survive, I had to sell to the market that's going to afford the products that I offer. It doesn't mean that they're not good products. And unfortunately, I can't offer them if they put the price points a certain way they are. So I have to go to the areas who can afford it. But it doesn't eliminate me educating people on financial literacy just because I can't assume they can't afford it. When our parents were coming along, they could have been more financially sound, but only the guy came around and collected 5 cents. He could have collected $20, and they would have had a lot more to leave. So that's what I do. I make sure that the families have more to leave behind. And then, is it realistic or a reach? Is your goal a realistic goal for you now? Have you done the proper study? Do you have the proper background? You say you want to be an auto mechanic. Where's your certification? Now everything is computerized. So if I bring my car to you and you don't have the proper certification and then you don't do my car right, you would be angry if I took you to court for that. So one of the things for me, I'm licensed in property and casualty, I'm licensed in life and health, I'm licensed in the Series 6 and 63 to sell financial products. And so that allows me to sign my name on the document as an authorized representative of State Farm. Now, I can't hire somebody into my office without the proper licensing and allow them to sign it because it would do financial hardship to the person who had signed it if things didn't go right. He said, well, who signed this? Oh, Joe signed it. Does Joe have a license? No. Okay, we're in trouble. Even though I have errors and omission insurance, I don't want to use it. And then, is it a stretch? Do you have to reach for it? Is it something that's just something just in you, just natural? You don't even have to think about it. You live, you breathe, you sleep this dream. I mean, that's something that we have to keep our minds on. And then, truth. Here's where your heart meets your mind and says, I'm working toward this goal. This is where you know the why of the goal, and the why is what will drive your burning desire, which to set, work towards, and achieve your goals. So the other thing too that we don't do, get a good accountant. You have to pay Uncle Sam his taxes. Many a business has been shut down because of not having the proper guidance by way of having a good CPA or accountant. Don't get your uncle or Pookie or whoever. Get a bona fide person. And still watch it. And just because he's a CPA doesn't mean he's on top of his game. You still have to monitor the books. But when the IRS wants to know what you're doing, you say, I use Joe Mendola, he's my CPA. They're going to see that you're a person who's responsible because you're a giver. You don't want to get behind in those taxes because once you do, this can be a problem for you for a lifetime. The other thing I would say is make sure that you get all the necessary forms on the various government sites, on the IRS.gov, on the PA.gov. Make sure you get your tax ID number. Make sure you get your tax ID number, both federal and state, because there are some benefits to small businesses when you have an ID number on some of the products and wholesale things that you can buy. But also as a reporting, because you want to keep your business separate from you. I started out as a sole proprietor. That might not have been the best idea in the business that we had. You want to be incorporated. Now, just to show you, I have a master's in taxation. But when it came to doing my own thing, I went on my own brain about it. When I should have been incorporated knowing this. This is one of the first tenets of starting a business entity. Is separate your personal assets from your business assets by being incorporated. So if something should happen with your business money-wise, it's not going to affect your personal Social Security number. So that's why you need that tax ID number for your business, so it's not tied to your personal tax Social Security number. So those are things that I would say that as a business owner that we need to be mindful of. And that's one thing we don't do. We just hang up a shingle, say I'm open for business. And that's not proper. Because we want to honor the thing. If we want God to honor our business, we have to be honorable. So when people look up my name and call State Farm, they know who I am. You can call and check on me if you desire. But I should already be operating in integrity so you won't have to make a phone call. So there's many ways to skin a cat. I chose the State Farm method. It was a natural for me. I worked for the company. I know the company culture, and I had a desire to give back to my community. And so now that when I sit behind the desk, I can empower family members. Now, people may not buy it, but they're going to need it. I mean, just this week, everybody knows someone who passed away. And as an insurance agent, I say, did they have enough life insurance to leave for the people who have to live on behind it? You got to have car insurance is mandatory in Pennsylvania. Home insurance. The people in Hurricane Sandy who didn't have it, they said, woe is me. People who had it called the insurance company, and they rebuilt. So I'm just one beacon of light in the community that have a desire to see our community grow, but grow as individuals. I mean, I would wear my business as my tag. I'm Dennis Jackson, the son of Essie and Lucian Jackson. My business is just what I do to survive, and that's my kingdom. It's my marketplace ministry. So when people come in to do business, I can share the word of God with them as we take care of our business. Because we need each other. And so with that, I appreciate your time. And if there's anything I can do to help you out, feel free to contact me and give me a call.